For everyone in this room. And again, one more time, please clap for Allow me now to recognize the presence of our Wikipedia. Allow me to use one word today. Wikifamily. Can I use Wikifamily? Yes. Is there anything we are missing? This is a family. Wikifamily? Yes. Indala Party. We have people from Benin. We have people from Benin here. Yeah. Please stand up for recognition. We have people from England. England? England? Yes. No, okay. Someone from Burundi? In Burundi? No. All right, Cameroon, please stand up for recognition. Nos compatriotes de Cameroun. On a des gens de Tchad. Tchad non. Congo, biso na biso. Mozaro. Mozambique. Mokanga te wana tozala famille. Ya solo. That's more than that. People from France, los Français, voilà. People from Ghana. Okay, all the people from Ghana. Wiki in Ghana. Wiki. Well, now that you can't say Wiki Ghana. People from Guinea. On a des gens de Côte d'Ivoire. Ça s'appelle Quando kutoka Kenya, kutoka Nai. Okay, on a des gens de Mali. Mali. Les gens de Maroc. Botswana. Namibia. People from Nigeria. Only Nigeria. Wiki. Okay, not Nigeria. Thank you. People from Senegal. Bienvenue l'équipe sénégalaise. Wandugu kutoka Tanzania. L'équipe Togo. J'avais oublié ma soeur. Tunisie. Barcelona from Rwanda. More than that, no, eh? All right, that's it. I've been recognizing everyone in this room. Allow me just to show you our guests here. We have our guest of honor from the Ministry of ICT and Innovation, representing the minister. She is the Director General of Innovation in Rwanda, in Ministry of ICT. Isa, please stand up for recognition. We have among us Mr. Alex Nare is the CEO of the private sector chamber, ICT chamber. Please stand up for recognition. We have Mr. David from that one in French or English and going to Rwanda Heritage Academy. Rwanda Culture Heritage Academy. Mr. David, thank you so much. Allow me to show you our sponsors and partners. Please, Rwanda Mountain Tea. The thing you have been drinking is from please stand up, Martin. Martin is from Rwanda Mountain Tea. Okay. Please welcome a round of applause your NCO today. Me, myself, we are going to welcome again for recognition Mr. Derek Lairo, our Executive Director of Wikimedia User Group Rwanda. So the whole entire team of Wikimedia Rwanda, please stand up for recognition. Rebecca, And police here. Police is over there. Thank you so much. And now we have a proper welcome for recognition. Our own and own and own Maria. Please. Thank you so much. Allow me to stop. And welcome, Eric. Please, Eric, welcome for the proper introduction in your welcome remarks. Eric, please come forward. Good morning. Good morning. They look very funny. So, before I say any other thing, I'm going to begin with finding out if people utilize the logistical that we provided. Is that okay? Oh, it's as if we are scared of change. Okay, Muraho. Muraho. Wow. So I think let's do it this way. Let's go from this end. When I say Muraho, you're going to respond if you read the logistical, right? Muraho. Wow. Bravo. Naramse. Wow, so that's in Rwanda. I think I was very expecting. Sure.
Okay. Go. Turn the camera on. Turn the camera on.
the case? Is it the case? Yes. So I attended that event, and they told us that we could edit Wikipedia. I thought Wikipedia is edited by some tall people somewhere. uh, but when I attended this event, I was really challenged because I got to know that, oh, David or any other person can edit Wikipedia and improve content. So we kept editing and creating content, but I think the people from Uganda won't stone me when I say this. I didn't find it pleasing to spend much time writing about Ugandan notable women. I felt like something should be done about the Rwandan notable women, because I'm a Rwandan. Yes, so that's where the story began. So the team in Uganda kept training me until I met these wonderful people that I want to, I welcome them to, I think they will stand up and then they just wave to us. So I'll begin, I don't even have to mention their names, I think they know. So when I came from Uganda back to Rwanda and shared the idea, could we start creating content about Rwanda? I met different people. But as you know, some people get things and others don't. And it's part of the journey, isn't it? Yes. So from the people who had of this idea of rather than sitting together and creating and start creating content about Rwanda and Rwandans, then who bought the idea and made it theirs, and we began the journey. So in a special way, I would like to ask Boris to wave to us, and I would like to say the rest of what I wanted to say when they're standing up. David, Rebecca. Yeah, you just stand for the position. So these are the people among us. I want to keep standing, so I know they won't confuse. Yeah. So these are the people who bought the idea, and since then we are still together up to date. We met when we were different people from different backgrounds. I didn't know any of them, they didn't know me. But when we met, I think what united us was the idea. Different schools, and I think even different age gaps. But here we are, and we are working since then. So these are the people who have been spearheading all the activities in Rwanda. And in a special way, I would like us to thank them. Yes, that journey has not been only, I think, walked by the four of us only. So the idea started from Uganda, now to Rwanda, 4 people, 5 people, and now we're more than 100. So in the same regard, I would like to ask the Wikimedians in Rwanda to also stand up. So these are people who bought the idea that came from some young, small mind, and the idea spread to 4 people, and then they also felt like we should train these people. So we would wish to have them here, but these are the people who are representing them. So for the journalists who are here, I think let me answer this question, and I hope when we go out, I don't get asked the same question. People keep asking, but who are those people in Rwanda who edit Wikipedia? Who are those? These are some of those people. So for once and for all, I would like to clarify. People kept thinking that Kenya Rwanda Wikipedia is edited maybe by some English speakers who just maybe go on Google translate it, put on Kenya Rwanda. That is not the case. These are the people behind what we see on Kenya Rwanda Wikipedia. So I'd like to thank them all for allowing them to know their seats. Yes, the journey has not been easy. There's never, and I think it will never reach a point where we say the journey is easy. And I think people from other communities can testify. the journey is never easy, especially when it has to do with volunteering, isn't it? Oh, I think the only people, when they talk about volunteering and they are not, it seems they're not familiar with it, I think they are the people from the media people. Because I think for them they are working now. Yes, so without wasting much of your time, I would like to thank the Wikimedia Foundation for having been very influential in our journey, because having ideas is one, and having a person to help you implement the idea is another thing. And we believe there are so many communities around the world, but when we knock at their doors, they will come to us with both hands. So I'd like us in a special to appreciate the Media Foundation, and in a special way thank Mariana for gracing our conference. If I'm to mention the people have been very key in our journey, I think, spend more than 5 hours here. Yes, because this journey is not easy. From understanding Wikipedia, only that journey is not simple. Wikimedia, and so on. So I would like to thank all Wikimedians around the world. You have been very influential, and I feel like from this meeting, so many other user groups are going to be established. Isn't that the case? Yes. So without wasting much of our time, I thank you again, and feel free. You're in Rwanda. And I think for the people who came around 3 a.m. can testify. So you're safe. This is our safe space. Feel free, and please learn at least one word in Rwanda. So without wasting much of our time, I thank you all.
Thank you so much, Derek. Without taking a lot of time, we have someone here for a poem in 2 minutes. Pour les gens qui parlent français, tout ce qu'il a dit, on vous aime beaucoup.
Thank you very much. My name is Hindi Mukhtar. I'm going to recite a poem on the founding of the Wikimedia, like the whole story. Thank you very much. So the poem is called Reshaping. Long time ago, home had more stories than Rome. Narrative tales were told. Hilarious lore were recited, but all faded in words. Long time ago, Africa had more parables but less biographies. More myths but no books. Histories written by others till the hour Wikimedians rose. Rising and reshaping, free stories, documents, and poems in Wikisource, resources and projects in the room of Wikidiversity. Rising and shining, the glorious Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia that gotten written in 300 languages. Free news on Wikinews. Have you seen the Wikicommons, the cool photos and videos? Rising and glowing, Wikidata, structuring, searching, and editing, reusing the data. The gorgeous Wikivoyages exploring the places like the heart of Wakanda. A journey that started with the Wikilaws, up to Wikilaws monuments, Wikilove monuments, Wikilaws for Coal, Wiki Africa Challenge, to the WPWH campaign that wonderful Kenya Wikipedia. Dreams are coming to reality. Starters are becoming stars. Welcome to Wikindawa. Welcome to Rwanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hindi Mukhtar. Thank you so much for this message. Allow me, without taking a lot of your time, let us welcome our own Mariana for your remark, and thereafter I'll please invite our guest of honor for the speech. Thank you so much.
Good morning. with all of Derek's talk of tall people, I bring greetings from short people. I'm not even sure you'll see me standing behind here. I'm going to be brief because we're going to spend more time together shortly. Those of you who I haven't met, although the room is full of familiar faces, my name is Mariana Iskander. I'm the CEO of the Wikimedia Foundation. I cannot tell you what an honor it is to come to a Wikimedia event where I don't have to cross an ocean or cross another continent and be at home, which is for me Johannesburg, South Africa. And when I landed at the airport, maybe some of you remember this when you landed at the Kigali airport. It says, "Welcome to the land of the doers." And having spent many years working in Rwanda and coming to Kigali, I can attest to the truth of that statement. And I think that the fact we have a user group who in a short 2 or 3 years has put this together is from the land of the doers. And the theme of our conference, looking at the 2030 movement strategy, should be about the theme of doing. So I think we must take that on board as the inspiration for the sessions that we have today and that we have throughout the course of the weekend. I wanted to, on behalf of the Wikimedia Foundation, also say thank you to the special guests that we have. The Ministry of ICT in Rwanda has an incredible track record of creating a center of innovation in this country, and I know we'll hear more about that. Thank you to the other sponsors who have joined us and making Wiki and Daba come to life. It's my first one, and it's really an honor to be here. I think the last thing that I'll say in closing is it's just nice to feel at home. So thank you to all of you. I had my official announcement as the CEO on September 14th last year. And the first email that I sent was to the Wikimedia L mailing list to say, hi, this is who I am. And the second email I sent about 1 minute later was to Bobby and to Douglas to say, hi, I'm here, and I want to get to certainly know the community at home in South Africa. And so thank you to all of you for making it feel like home in Wikimedia. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Mariana. Mark, and again, let's welcome our own guest of honor, and our Director General from Ministry of ICT in charge of innovation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's very weird for me to say that I'm a guest of honor, but because I'm representing Minister Paula, I would gladly accept that for this morning and for a short period. And thank you for inviting me. So quickly, let me start with a short story. More than 2 years ago, around 2018, I was working with this institution called Next Einstein Forum, and we are trying to promote African scientists that are doing amazing stuff across the world. One of the biggest problems that we had was the question that always comes up and says, but Africa doesn't have scientists. If you think about biotechnology, if you think about all these cutting-edge technologies, everyone will tell you can't see it on the internet, or basically Wikipedia doesn't have them, so it means that they do not exist anywhere. So there's this one lady who started championing putting African scientist profiles on Wikipedia in and around 2018. She's called Jess Wed. Maybe a lot of you guys may know her. But it was that was my first interaction with what a community, like what Wikimedians can actually do. And I'll say it's a very, very commendable job. It's a very commendable job because as African proverbs say, the story of the animal would be told by the hunter every single time until, something like that. I don't know how it goes very well. But these type of user groups, this is where I'm not called that we are hunted, but as a continent and countries that don't have as much information available online for everyone to know what is actually going on in our own countries, what are the interesting knowledge that is being created in our own countries. If it's not available, who else is creating it? And I can commend all of you guys for doing this. And I hope within this 2-day conference, you're going to discuss and you're going to let us know how can we support. And I think for us, it's very, very important. In our day-to-day job as the Minister of ICT here in Rwanda is to really create an innovative ecosystem, but also drive digital transformation within Rwanda. And one of the parameter that the internet, a person who is connected for the first time, they want to access knowledge. Where do they access that knowledge? Is it relevant to them? Is it in the language that they understand? Does it respond to what they're doing? So for us to be seated here and having people who are volunteering their time, their expertise and their knowledge to actually create that means that tomorrow if we connect one person, there's something that is going to anchor them into this digital transformation journey. And as a government, I think that's what we are also looking at. Second, it's also publicizing what is happening. If innovations are happening, if knowledge is being created across the world, and especially here, how do we get to talk about what is happening within our country and share that knowledge globally? Because if we're saying that we are a global continent, we are connected, then it should be the same way it's easy to access information and knowledge from across the pond. It should also be easy for us to share that knowledge and for people to consume that knowledge. So Derek and the team, congratulations for the work that you've been doing. It's really amazing, and please let us know what else we can and how we can help you with. Mariana for the foundation, it will be very important that we also expand on this partnership and what else can we do to ensure that knowledge is available and free for everyone across the globe. So thank you for having us and for having me, and I wish you great deliberations in these 2 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now the session has started. Geoffrey, if you don't mind, please. We are going to start with our session. After this short video, the welcoming video, we are going to welcome Bobby to take you through the flow. Right, Bobby? Thank you so much. But now, before I get out of this space, from day 1 to day 3, which is Sunday, we are going to run a competition. So make sure you tweet and retweet. Your picture, your everything you think. Picture, caption, whatever. The hashtag we are using is Wikimedia Rwanda 2022, but another hashtag is Visit Rwanda. Not selling Rwanda, but again selling Wikipedia. Right? And every day we'll be rewarding the best and the most tweets. Please.
Rwanda is a country known for its irrigation system, but also referred to as a land of thousand milk. Our Kigali city has been ranked second top most popular destinations to host events and conferences for the International Congress and Convention Association. To our delegates, Wikimedia User Group Rwanda is delighted and honored to welcome you all to our Wikipedia Conference 2022, which will be happening from the 4th to the 6th of November. And yes, look forward to our amazing food, our amazing weather, and most importantly, our amazing and welcoming people. One rule and only one rule is to be followed. Don't be bored, perfection is waiting for you. Once again, welcome to Rwanda.
Welcome to Rwanda. Again, enjoy and enjoy. We are here, we have a team from Marketing Touch to show you around. If you want to say like today, this evening after the session, you will be having your free time, just ask, where can I go? So those Christians who want to go to pray, we have churches. For our friend Muslim, if you want to pray, we have mosque. Those who want to stay here, stay here. Those who want to enjoy, please enjoy. Thank you so much. Here is the hashtag, Wikimedia Rwanda 2022. Visit Rwanda. This is the competition that started. Take a picture of your friend. Take a picture of myself. We have a photo booth here. And here, write whatever. You are good writers and historians. Please enjoy. Welcome, Bobby. Let's go for Bobby. He left us here as a kid. Now you are.
Thank you. Morning, colleagues. My name is Bobby Shabamu, and I'm from South Africa. I am currently the president. I don't know whether that's important of Wikipedia South Africa. Yeah, but I'm very much glad to be here this morning, and really looking forward to learn from you, and to also impart some of what we've learned over the years as Wikimedians, and yeah, to just share this place together, and just talk as Wikimedians, about our problems, about our achievements, and all that, and that concerns us. My role this morning really, it is to come here and then allow the community, all of us as we're sitting here, to ask questions that we want to know, anything that you want to know, to Mariana, actually. So, yeah, anything that you'd like to know, you can just, ask her, and and then from there we close. Yeah. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mariana again. I don't know whether you want to respond to the question sitting there, Mariana, or you want to come here. Yeah, so I'd like to welcome you, and then after that, yeah, we can then I'll first ask the questions, and then after that, maybe I can sit as well. Yeah. 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 So what's going to be happening is that we are going to have a conversation as Wikimedians. And we would like to learn from you, and we want to hear, the thinking of Mariana about, anything that you've learned, about these sessions. So maybe the first question that I'd like to know from you, Mariana, is that, you just mentioned that briefly here that you have joined the foundation, and you introduced yourself by sending an email. And would like to know, since you came, what did you learn?
Hello again. I think the session is not all about me, so let's just assume that the purpose is to talk about our movement, to talk about your plans, to talk about, as Bobby said, I'm always happy to to hear any question. If I don't know the answer, I'm not going to make one up. And so for some of the questions, if I don't know, I will commit to finding out and making sure that I get back to you. I said earlier that it felt like being in a room with many familiar faces because after my announcement, which was in September of last year, I had an opportunity to spend a few months before I officially started at the Wikimedia Foundation in January to try to learn about this movement and to learn about communities. And so over the course of those months, I spoke with many of you in the room individually. I had the distinct pleasure of being hosted on Wiki Africa Hour, which was awesome. I had a meeting with colleagues in Nigeria who organized the most awesome video to welcome me. I attended the AGM with the South Africa chapter, and I had a chance to talk to foundation colleagues who are based on the continent to understand from them what they saw the opportunities and the challenges. So I think by the time I started, I definitely did not know everything, but I knew a little bit to be able to help me start. Are we still good? Okay. I don't want to stand in between you and a fire alarm, that's for sure. I think, Bobby, the short answer is much of what I've tried the conference today is so important. I think there are specific things about user groups and individual volunteers that I'm curious about. So we'll have a chance maybe this morning to talk
While people are still thinking of other questions, you know, you have mentioned something that is communication, and I really would like to commend you for that, Mariana. You are a leader that wants to reach out and talk to people. You know, I always see and read, you know, your business, and I can sometimes see some of the responses, you know, from the community. The recently you sent an email, and you were talking about three priorities there, and it comprises of strategy, planning, leadership, value, and culture. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure, I think just again, briefly, I've been trying to be clear what the priorities are for myself and, you know, as well for the foundation. And I'll just highlight a few areas that are more about the organization. We'll talk more about movement strategy and others. The first is no organization succeeds without a strong leadership team. Wikimedia after 9 years at Mozilla, where she was the head of Firefox, which is the browser that I think probably most of you know. And I would describe Selena very much as a Wikimedian at heart, even if she hasn't had a long history with our movement, although she's worked on the wikis, comes from the open source world, and I feel like has already understood our culture and ways of working, and so that was a really, really important piece to get in place from a leadership team perspective. I also shared, many of you have known or worked with Stephen Laporte over many years in our legal team, who moved into the Deputy General Counsel role, and I think, again, having leaders at the foundation who really understand our communities and understand our history is important. And then some of you in the room actually were with me in Dubai last weekend at Wiki Arabia and had an opportunity to meet Anusha Ali Khan, who heads communications at the foundation, another important leader. So I think getting a lot of the key people in place and making sure that all of you know who they are and engage with them is really important. Planning, of course, is the ultimate goal of how we work together. And again, I just want to use the theme of the conference to say that the implementation of movement strategy has to be the key focus. What does it mean to do it? What does it mean to kind of get things done? It's interesting on the third priority. I'm just going to call out flow for a minute, because on the third priority that I talked about is that it's not just business books, but my own lived experience is you can have the best strategy in the world. You can look at governments, best strategy in the world, but if the culture is not right and the values are not right, it's very hard to get things done and do them in the right way. And so even though I know it's not quite as tidy as planning and lists, I think culture and values actually matter the most, because those drive strategy, those attract the right people, those do all of the right things. And so having really focused, particularly within the foundation, what are our values, what are our ways of working with communities, what are our ways of working with each other, what is it that you can expect of us, what should we expect of you? And I think actually if we have those conversations a bit more directly, some of the other things we think are problems might resolve themselves.
Colleagues, are there anyone that wants to ask any question, or if you have additional input to what Mariana has said, this is your chance.
Although I'm here for the conference, so thanks, guys.
Okay, Douglas, okay, I see your hand, and then I see the hand at the back there. We'll start with Douglas. Can we hear please? Thank you so much. I'm counting you as well.
Thank you very much. I'm not so sure if this is on or not. I've got a lot of questions, but I'm only going to ask one. But I will say that my questions range all the way from technology, community support, advocacy. The main question I want to focus on, when I ask one, is what is the foundation's strategy for Africa, or how does the foundation see its future working to grow the movement in Africa, and where along that process is the foundation currently? Thank you.
I mean, I think that the answer to that lies in a two-way conversation, right? And I think that's what we were trying to do in our annual planning process. It's not quite what the foundation wants for Africa. What does Africa want for Africa? And then how does the foundation work and partner in that? What we've tried to do, I think, just to get a bit more coherence on our work across different regions, is to be explicit in our planning this year that it's much more regionally based. Those of you who haven't had an opportunity to see I think a diff blog that was published yesterday, Winnie here, I don't know if she's there, that Winnie published speaking exactly to that question. What is the work to be done? What have we learned? I know that there is I know there's a variety of contexts, even on the continent. It's not all the same, but I do think there are some commonalities. And again, my hypothesis that I want to test with all of you over the next few days is I don't think Africa can afford to be so fragmented if we want to do big things together, because I can see from Southern Africa and East Africa and a little bit of time in West Africa, there are many common challenges and there are many common opportunities getting young people engaged in this movement, figuring out how to tackle very difficult questions about data costs, figuring out all the underlying things that are important enablers of our movement, how to build partnerships. And so for me, the answer to the question, Douglas, is a two-way kind of conversation, and I think that Winnie and others will be able to talk specifically about some of the work today, and I would encourage you to start with that blog as at least a place to start. Does that feel like a fair answer?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Abel from DRC. I have 3 questions, but one has already been answered. The first one is about the language barrier. Yes, for sure, much has been done from the foundation so that everyone can feel free using his own language, but still there are much to be improved. And most importantly from Francophone zone. We have seen that in most of events, activities, and so on, people from Francophone zone are suffering too much and feel like they don't have support from the foundation. Let me just give a real example. In our user group, we have one of our members who works on reading Wikipedia in the classroom. It's a very good project. He wanted to do the training you gave, but to implement the project in the country, it was not easy. Why? It's because he's from Francophone zone. When people from Anglophone zone, they can implement it easily. Francophone zone are still suffering. So what are you doing? What's your effort to improve this situation? The next question, I wanted to see your plan for Africa already. The last question is, how do you see Africa in the next 8 years? How do you see Africa? Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. I don't know if my answer on the language one will satisfy you, but for me, we are one of the most unique movements because of the diversity of our languages. The multilingualism is a strength. Having said that, we're not the only group of people in the world struggling to figure out how to operate in multiple languages and communicate effectively in multiple languages. I think that your acknowledgement that much has been done is correct, because a lot has been done. I can see that certainly in the context of the foundation, at least trying to now do official translations for all of our communications in many languages. Not enough, but many more than before. Trying very hard in these kinds of forums to enable people to speak in whatever language is the one they feel most comfortable in. But I think we have to keep looking and learning from other groups of people, because I can't change the reality of so many languages in the world. What are the ways that we operate? I can tell you at Wiki Arabia last week, they had a cool feature where it was a live translation Zoom link, and so you just had your headphones in while you were in the live conference and could participate in Arabic or in English. And so I think, again, there are going to be ways that technology, and particularly the pandemic, has enabled technology to bring translation and interpretation support into these spaces and meetings, I think, even more. I know that some of you have been thinking hard specifically about Francophone challenges. And so I think it's useful to hear what more can be done, because it is again, amongst many other languages, obviously very widely spoken and in places where we need to think about how more people feel like they can contribute and lead and belong without necessarily needing to have English as the only way to do that. The second question is about where do I see Africa in 8 years? I assume you mean the continent, so I can, again, I think just be brief. I mean, as we all know, this is a continent that is misleading on the maps because it's larger than anybody really understands. It is a continent in which we see the largest number of young people. And as many of you know, the conversation about how to make sure that it's a demographic dividend and not a demographic divide is the challenge facing most of our leaders who are struggling, frankly, in many, many parts of the continent. I think the challenges of unemployment, the challenges of corruption, the challenges of how are we going to grow economies in a particular way. In some parts of the continent, we have high access to education, but very low quality. And so we have young people who are coming out of many years of schooling and still struggling in the labor market or still struggling to find their way to opportunities. And I think that the work we do in Wikimedia is a solution to some of that, right? Because I've heard stories from many of you that Wikipedia was a way to supplement education that didn't quite cut it. That we can find ways of sharing free knowledge and thinking about this as an educational resource for young people who I can tell you from working are just hungry for opportunity, right? Because the promise that has been made, I think, to a lot of young Africans that if you work hard, there will be opportunity is not as true, I think, now as it used to be. And so for me, those are the kinds of challenges that the continent has to tackle. And I'm optimistic and very hopeful. I mean, that is the reason I think I've enjoyed spending my time working here is like, there is so much energy, there is so much optimism and determination. I mean, you can see it just from the people in this room, that actually people and young people are going to be the ones that are going to get us out of this mess and are going to be the ones that are going to have to take us forward and lead our nation. So hopefully, again, over today and the next few days, we can talk a bit about the context in which we have to do this work so that it's the most impactful for what this generation of Africans need from us.
Thank you so much for that response.
Yeah, we can give a round of applause. Thank you, sir. Yeah, maybe let me go to Shola.
Hi, Shola. Hi. So nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad. I have two questions. And the two questions centered around Africa. The first one, as of 2019, when Nigeria hosted Wikimedia, if my brain is not placing error on me, I think we're having like 10 to 11 Wikimedia affiliates in Africa. But now, the number has grown astronomically. Now, what is the foundation doing to take care of the consequences of the growth of Wikimedia affiliates in Africa? That's one. Two, in Africa, out of all the affiliates that we have, we only have one chapter, which is in South Africa, and they are doing amazingly well. When you look at the structure of the user group that we have, many of us do not have a legal status. That shows that we can't really work well within the ecosystem of the open movement in Africa. And there are quite a number of things that are really happening within the open movement in Africa. What is the foundation doing to help empower these affiliates to be able to benefit from some of the things that are happening within the open movement space in Africa?
Shola, can I just ask a follow-up question? When you said the consequences of so many Wikimedians, just say more, what do you mean for the
I'm not saying the consequences of so many, I'm talking about the consequences of the growth, of the numbers, of the affiliates in Africa.
So these are some of the questions that I have for all of you, frankly, and I hope that, again, the purpose of being together in a room where you can have different kinds of dialogues than on a screen is a couple of things. I think that the foundation and the board, and I'm joined by one of our board members here, Vicky Ndaba, is to understand the role of affiliations, chapters, users, groups, and some of that has happened very organically over the last 2 decades. And I'm not sure that just leaving it to be organic is going to be the best answer for us, because we have to find ways of ensuring that the investments people are making in establishing groups pays off for them and for the communities they're trying to serve. And I think we have some hard questions we should all be asking about that, because I don't think in the African context that establishing organizations is the end goal. It has to be, what is the end goal of the organization? Is it to add content, and is it doing that? Is it to enable partnerships because you need an official way of engaging with other cultural institutions or others? So I have been curious about what's going on in Africa, because we see a proliferation of groups, which on the one hand is very positive. It means people are engaging, it means people are raising their hands to be involved, it means people are expressing interest. But as I said earlier, I think that there's risk to too much fragmentation, because then how are we getting the benefit of the collective? Like, that is the African way. How are we getting the benefit of the collective to be able to do more? And so I hope I can ask you some of those same questions, and in the sessions today we can talk about, celebrating the number of user groups is important because infrastructure is needed, but I'm saying that to me doesn't feel like the end goal. The end goal isn't how many user groups do we have in Africa. What the end goal is, what are they able to do to, exactly your point, grow communities, spread the mission, add content. And if it's because people, I don't know. I'm not even going to guess because I don't know the answer, but that's what I want to find out. That's what I want to find out in the sessions and in the conversations. We have the benefit of people in the room who know a lot about these issues. I mean, Dumasani, many of you know, has worked on our affiliations work over a long period of time, trying to understand how we got to where we are. And is it possible? I don't know. Is it possible to imagine a goal for Africa? A way of thinking about how we support each other in a way the foundation can engage, that is about big change, right? Big impact, really accelerating that growth in ways that are sustainable. And the last point is that those of you who have a chance to look at what Winnie published yesterday, is that the increase in resourcing to Africa, no doubt the foundation has done well in my view. I mean, really increased the grants. But again, to what end, right? So what is it that those grants are delivering, and do we feel like it's the impact that we want to see? So I think between really tackling the question of affiliations more head on, I think the grants and the support, and as some of you may know, the amount of staff on the ground in Africa has also increased, which I think has helped us as an organization. But many of the harder questions, I need you to help me understand and answer. And that's why, again, the benefit of being in person and being able to talk together so directly is going to be important. So I hope we take advantage of that.
I can have an additional comment on that. I've noticed that in South Africa, for example, we have a lot of partners, and but we don't have a lot of Wikipedians that wants to go out and or not once, but have the time to reach out to those partners. And we can do a lot of things there, with those partners. But you come to other, many African countries, they do not have those partners. They're actually looking for partners to partner with them, to support them. And they have the Wikipedians there, that can, volunteer with their time. But we do not have a strategy as African to see how can we use the countries or the partners that are available in countries like South Africa to leverage, to help to assist the communities that are in countries that really do not have a lot of partners, because we find out that the same partners, they are available in those countries, but they seem to be not. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that we are looking at, in the African continent. I saw a hand. Was it? Yeah. Yeah. Was that? Yeah. And then.
We see you, Rebecca. Hello. I'm Benedict Nemekabdi from the Wikimedia user group. My question is actually on issues itself. So I'm coming from the point of an organizer. One issue I feel that conference like this should afford us to talk about is the global ID block for organizers like us. So I saw a couple of issues that was raised on that. The question is actually not just for you, but also for Godi yourself, as being a chapter lead. What's going on with what's the conversation about that? Or what's the progress on solving the global block? Because when you're looking at getting new editors and their first encounter is being blocked because of something they don't know about, it's also a discouragement to them to continue. So I want to know what the foundation is doing about it and what even the Indian community itself is doing about it. Thank you.
Very interesting one. What are we doing as a chapter to assist newbies who are getting blocked? Really, there's no one-way answer to that. I actually had a conversation, I think sometime back with Rumi. I asked Rumi, what is the formula to a Wikipedian? What is it that we can say that you actually need to follow in order to produce a Wikipedian? There's no one formula actually. We could not find any formula to that. And Wikipedians that are getting blocked on on a daily basis, some of them, and some of them that seem to be targeted and attacked. Really, for us, it's just to go back to the community, the very same community that attacks them, to ask for them to be unblocked. But there's no really strategy that is there for us as a chapter, besides those things that are already available there. I see that when you actually are running an editorial shop and introducing new people on Wikipedia, there are ways now, to protect newbies, where you have a glass space, where you have a sandbox, just to make sure that the content before it's published, it's actually checked. But still, that is a problem, especially for Africans, because of notability issues. So these are some of the things that we are here for, to talk about. What is it, that we can do, as Wikipedians, to get out of these things? So we don't have a one-way, solution as a chapter. We also are like you, facing the same things. Maybe Douglas would want to have a step on that.
Thanks, Bobby. So this question comes up a lot, especially in training, right? The best, there's very little the foundation can do, in my experience, right? The foundation, because this comes from rules generated by the community, and it's not the foundation's place to tell the community what to do. The best advice I can give individual editors is to always be open to constructive criticism and always be open to change. Every editor, even editors who mean hundreds of thousands of editors, will still get things wrong. I recently did something wrong recently in Wikipedia as well. I've made many thousands of edits over the years, been doing this for over a decade. I still get things wrong, and people have to call me out and tell me what I've done wrong. The most important thing that I think for an editor in that position is just to be open-minded and to be able to learn from their mistakes from the rest of the community. And blocking is a painful process, and we want to avoid it. And one of the ways in which chapters can avoid that is through appropriate training. But beyond that, making sure that the individual editor is open to feedback and can learn from their mistakes. I think the best way forward. But I do understand your frustration. It comes up a lot.
I'd like to go to maybe Dumi, and then
I think she was next. Yeah.
Wait, I'm the MC here because I know Dumi don't want to ask a question.
I don't want to ask a question. I want to answer one. Yeah. The question you've asked in terms of IP blocking is a very serious one. We still face the same consequences in South Africa, even though we've organized events for a long time. The answer is actually quite simple. As organizers, do you spend a little bit more time preparing for your event? If you do, you can be able to, within 2 weeks, as you know that your event is going to start, go to a page on Meta and give the IP address that you're going to be editing on. And that will be whitelisted for that time that you're going to spend. It will save you a lot of headache and effort, and it's possible to do. So part of that is actually how do we as communities understand that, how do we train ourselves as organizers to prepare for such things, because IP blocking is there for a specific reason. There's a lot of vandalism that happens, but editing is not vandalism. New editors shouldn't be blocked out because they're trying to learn Wikipedia. So some of it is responsibility we should be taking as organizers, thinking ahead on those events and doing something about it.
All right. Can I give it to? Yeah. Can I give it to her?
Thank you so much, Bobby. I have a question towards moving strategy. I know I read somewhere that in 2017, people had an idea to draft a moving strategy to guide our future. And it's been almost 3 years. So my first question is that how do you see the success or the challenges of the implementation of those goals of implementation? That's the first question. And the second is that it can even be answered by everyone else who participated, because I know some of the people here participated in drafting the recommendation, and how, if it succeeded or it's growing gradually, how excited you are to see it today. Then the third question is a question, what's the plan, or how do you ensure that the movement strategy implementation will grow, or let people from all over the world participate in the implementation, especially in the underrepresented communities? I hope, thank you.
So maybe we'll start with a show of hands. So if somebody in this room was involved in any phase of movement strategy, groups, right? Okay, so you can look around. We've got several people here who I think have been on that journey a bit. Okay, that's fine. Maybe we see half of a hand. I mean, I certainly wasn't here for that phase, but what I can tell you is that one of the people I talked to in the listening tour said to me, everything about how we made the movement strategy drove me crazy, but it was the only way. It was the only way to get such a diverse group of communities to find their way to something. I think there's consensus that the recommendations are high level, right? It's not obvious to read them and know what you wake up and do the next day, right? So that leaves a lot of room for us to interpret and decide together what are the things that matter the most in line with those recommendations. I have found a lot of guidance in the strategic direction, which were the 2 pillars that were established in 2017, that talks about knowledge equity, which for me is an important part of the work that we do, for example, in regions of the world where there's, speaking about the poem that was read earlier, lots of knowledge, and now getting it into the spaces that we need it to be is important. And the idea of knowledge as a service, this idea of being the essential infrastructure. And so I think that the strategic direction in those 2 pillars, plus the recommendations, give us room to decide what some of the details are. What I can say to you is that some people in this room were together in Berlin at the Wikimedia Summit, which happened in September. And one of the activities at the Wikimedia Summit was to collect a list of projects that are being done for movement strategy implementation. And I think there are about 180 projects. So it's happening. It's not waiting to happen, it's happening. But some organizations, and I would include the foundation in that, have to then, within the frame of the movement strategy, be clearer what the plans are, what the objectives are, what the results are. And I think, again, that's what a lot of the value of having this as a theme for this conference, I think. But there are many hands raised of people you should talk to about that journey as well.
Response. Are there any people with additional questions, additional input? We're going to close this session at 11, so we still have some time, maybe 5 to 11, so that we can prepare this place. Yeah, so I'm going to go to Anas. Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. So who raised their hands first? Oh, it's Florence.
Your job.
Yeah. Florence, I'm going to take your hand and then we're going to go this side. Florence, over to you.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to go back to this thing about blocking. I discussed during the Wikimedia Summit with Dexter, is one of the stewards which was very nice and favorable and happy to help, in comparison to some stewards who are very unreasonable and not happy to help at all, blocking, in short. We have a true issue, and some of it is actually under the responsibility or help of the Wikimedia Foundation, because what I understood, there was also a person from the technical team there with whom I discussed, and he said that we are really getting to the hands of our current practices in terms of fighting vandalism, technical vandalism, and he said we need to change the system that is currently being used, because it's going to be even worse with all the proxies being increasingly used. So that's a technical issue. So we can work on our
And what is actually needed is for you to tell these engineers to actually implement this plan. So that's the one part. But the plan is definitely there. So it just needs to be done.
As soon as we have a culture where I can just tell people to do things, we'll definitely be able to see it happen.
The line was going like this. I'm gonna go to Winnie and then I'm gonna come to you, sir. Sure.
Hi everyone. Mine is not a question, it's a comment. And this is in reference to, I'm sure you've heard Mariana talk about mention Winnie and some of the things that we're doing. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say there is a team, it's one of the youngest teams at the foundation. It's called Movement Communications Team. And this is the team that is very community facing, and we work towards creating two-way dialogues. So I would like to invite you to a session that will be happening in this room at 12 o'clock. That's where the session is titled Documenting Africa's Impact Stories. So you'll get to learn more about what the Movement Communications team is doing. And I'm sure some of you will get answers to some of the questions that were raised, including the issue around language barrier by the Francophone community, because that is a docket that we're also working on translations, and also regional communication. So we have 5 regional specialists distributed across 5 regions. I'm the senior regional specialist for Africa, so that will be a platform for us to engage. Again, before I go to my last comment, how many are attending Wikimedia for the first time? Okay. How many of us have been in the movement for the last 2 years? Last 2 years? How many have been here for the last 5 years? Great. So the reason I asked this is because I wanted to get who is in the room. We have a mixture of established Wikimedians and newcomers. So I'd like to encourage us. I know we have a lot of questions as communities in the African region, but as an encouragement, this is a conference not for us to listen to presenters or people who are leading sessions, but for us to have two-way dialogue. Let's learn, let's engage, let's come up with actionable plans, because we are the wearers of those shoes. We know where it pinches the most, and we have the solutions. Thank you.
I'm going to give you, say, one last. You raise your hand, right? You want to ask a question? Yeah. So Mariana will always be here, for the conference. We can continue and ask the questions. And but what you said there, we deliberately rejected. I was sitting as part of the core team, and we deliberately rejected proposals that wanted to share to us about in their country. Not because it's not important, but because we wanted to encourage a culture of actually speaking like this in this conference, so that we may learn, I may learn from you, and you may learn from me as a Wikipedian. So yeah, I just wanted to add to what you wanted to say there. Thanks for what you said.
Thank you, Bobby. Hi, my name is Ben Birchbaum. I'm the Director of Community Programs at the Wikimedia Foundation. I'm mostly standing up because I want to just make myself visible, so because I really would like to talk with as many people as I can. So this is not a question. I was motivated to stand up after hearing the IP blog discussion and the great point that Anas raised about the incubator. And I think something that's threaded through a lot of these questions and comments is like, what are the roles and responsibilities? Whose role is it to address this IP blog issue? Whose role is it to address incubator and some of these long unaddressed challenges? I don't have the answer to you right now, but I would love to hear from you, because I would love to channel this back into conversations with the foundation. On the point of language, I think we have an amazing language team here representing that's done fantastic work on translation. Something that's always struck me as a strange irony about the media is that while we have this strength that we don't actually flex, we are in many ways already, despite our many shortcomings, the cradle of languages on the internet. And yet the incubator, the starting point, the star nursery for new languages on the internet is far from what it should be. Wikisource is a fundamental kind of tool in our ecosystem for bringing languages onto the internet. Barely supported. So I'm not here with a solution immediately in hand, but I'm here with a strong desire to channel insights and questions from this conference. I think there's a tremendous opportunity here to, and speaking to the risk of fragmentation that Mariana brought up, to pool these insights and into a clear list of priorities and demands from this region. I think that will really help cut through some of the overwhelm of dealing with too many priorities, which in this kind of global movement with the abundance of possibility, it's hard sometimes to focus. So help us focus, talk to us, be blunt, be honest. We're here to hear this. So thank you, seek me out, seek out my colleagues, and we look forward to having this conversation.
Thank you so much to everyone that attended, that participated. What's going to be happening right now is we actually are behind by an entire hour. So the conversation has been going, it's been nice, but I would like us now to, or the program shows us that we're going to have to go to a break, a 30 minutes break, and then from there we go to our different sessions when we come back. So, no, maybe you want to? Yeah, maybe let's give it to Eric. Colleagues, you can give us hands as we are going to sit down.
Once again, I think this could have been before we started. I'm going to try to be as serious as I can. Serious people cannot hear me, right? Oh. Okay, yeah. Yes. I'm going to make this announcement as they help me to project it there, and I would like everyone to be attentive. Yes, as they try to predict it for us, the Wikimedia users of Rwanda hosts and organizers of Wiki in our conferences, we are all, the people I mentioned, are dedicated to providing a harassment-free venue. And a good experience for everyone is here. That being said, we cannot and we shall not, for the 3 days we're going to be here, we are not going to tolerate any form of harassment. Some people may say, oh, we haven't seen people harassment. But harassment can take forms, can take place in so many forms. So any form of harassment is not going to be entertained in this conference. And also many people may be interested in knowing some of the forms. So when you go, you go to our program, I mean on our meta page, when you open it, there is an button for friendly space policy. So for the 3 days we are going to be here, in case you experience any form of harassment, even if it's verbal, please, we have the organizing team members, and I would like to ask them to stand up. So in case any person or in any way you're harassed, please report to these people, and I would like the organizing team to stand up. People with budget, with a statement organizer, please. I know you know yourself, right? Yes. You've seen them, right? So beyond these people, let's say one of these people harassing you in any way. You're supposed to report to me or Bobby. We all know Bobby. Yes. But beyond Bobby, we have the police people. Yes.
And in between the police and me and Bobby and the other team, we have medical doctors who are ready. So, and psychology. Yes. So we call up everyone to respect this and make this a very friendly space for everyone who is there. Should you be there and you wouldn't wish the pictures which have been taken here to be posted anywhere, begin with filters that we talked about. These people that I talked about, the organizers, please put your hands up. The organizers, yes. They are going to be standing up. So in case you feel like your pictures, your videos shouldn't be published, people are looking at me with an eye of a question. Should there be a person whose pictures shouldn't be published? Yes, because of different reasons. And we, in the process of providing a friendly space, we also respect that. So should you be there and you wouldn't want your pictures to be spread all over the internet, please inform one of the organizers or the ushers. Wherever the ushers are, please wave to people so that they can know where you are. Yes. And I think that is clear, right? Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Derek. Colleagues, I actually wanted to close this piece because we are behind an hour, but I had a change of mind. It happens, these things. So we're gonna give to Yumi to actually present for now, and then after that's when we're going to go to the break. Thanks. Over to you, Derek.
You've been going through a lot lately, feeling heavy on every way, feeling low.
Thank you so much. This was supposed to be an hour, and I prepared that I was going to bore you with all the details. So I'm going to try and make it as short as possible so that you can all go and have tea. So I will, okay. I've got the clicker. I can do the clicking. All right, I'm Dumisani Dubani. I'm the Senior Community Governance Strategist, which means I support committees that support you, like AFCON, APCOM, LanguageCom, and so on. So today I'm going to talk about affiliates and the growth. And I've heard a lot of the talk about, Shola, how many affiliates do we have? Can we afford to have more? And what do they actually do? What's the value proposition of affiliates? So I want to start at the beginning, firstly by recognizing something in terms of this conference and in terms of the symbolism of the conference that we have. A few days before I traveled here, I asked Derek, this picture that you have on the conference for Wiki Indaba has got a tree. What's the name of that tree? So of course, in a Wikipedian way, he sent me the article, Wikipedia article to the name of the tree. And if you go back to the previous Indabas, you will see that each Indaba had a specific tree, a unique tree. This one is called Umuvumi in Kinyarwanda. Umuvumi. Umuvumu, yes, in Kinyarwanda. It's a sycamore in English, or what is called a strangler, a strangler wild fig tree. What's the importance of this tree? This tree is one of the trees that you find almost everywhere in Rwanda, but particularly in areas of royalty, in areas where you've got cattle and herd, and it's a very useful tree for so many things. For animals to foliage, because its leaves are evergreen the whole year round. And it's even used, some of the bark of it is used for creating clothing, traditional clothing. So it's a versatile tree, it's a very competitive tree. It grows and outcompetes other trees where it is. It's quite important that they were selected for this conference because Wikimedia is quite an interesting area for volunteers and communities to grow. And we need to be competitive, especially in the region with all the problems that we've noticed and we've talked about. We still outperform other regions, even with all the problems that we have. And so it's a very symbolic trip for us to have, and thank you so much to the user group for choosing it and for continuing the symbolism. So yeah, affiliates and what else? So let's see if I can use the speaker. Yeah, I can. Let's start, we're in Africa, let's start with a proverb. An African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is really one of the proverbs that I really think symbolizes the community or the communities in the region. It's impossible for you to create a user group on your own. It's even more difficult to sustain it on your own as well. So user groups or affiliates in particular are the best way that this region has really supported the growth of Wikimedia as projects. So let's start with a bit of history on affiliates, what they are, where it comes from. And I'll take you back to June 13, 2004. The first chapter is formed, Wikimedia.org. It actually didn't have any signing agreement with the Wikimedia Foundation. So some people actually say, no, that's not the first chapter in terms of agreement. Wikimedia France should be called first chapter in terms of agreement.
Thank you so much.
I told you I researched.
Many witnesses.
Yes, so in terms of signing an agreement and recognition agreement, Wikimedia France is the first affiliate we have. In terms of formation and registration in the country, Wikimedia.org, it's still the first affiliate. So in 2006, the board decided, you know what, it looks like we're going to have more affiliates. At that time, I think there was around 7 affiliates, across all of them European and North American. And so it was decided, let's form a committee that's going to recognize these affiliates. And so the chapter committee was created. And by 2009, we had 17 chapters, most of them in Europe and North America. It wasn't until 2011 that the first affiliate was recognized in this continent, which was the Wikimedia South Africa. But in 2010, the Wikimedia Foundation board commissioned a project called Movement Roles, just to clarify what we mean by these affiliates and what we want them to do. That project took 2 years to formalize and to clarify what affiliates should be. But the most important thing, I wanted to put that statement there from the board commissioning this movement role team, is that it was clear it was to decentralize the movement, that structure of the movement, and to make sure that the responsibility to lead organizational development doesn't rest with the Wikimedia Foundation, but it rests with communities themselves. And so, fast forward to 2012, the movement roles came back with a recommendation that we think the best way for affiliation lies in getting 3 kinds of structures recognized by the foundation. The first one being a chapter. This is going to be the hardest structure to form. It needs to be legal, it needs to be independent, but it needs to also be based in a geographic location or a country. The second one would be a thematic organization. This is going to be a little bit nebulous because, what is a theme? Wiki Project Medicine was the first affiliate that was recognized in that category. And there's only 2 ever recognized in that category because, it's quite it has to be specific, it has to be specialized. And then the question was asked exactly about some of the things that was asked here, sure. Some groups can function, but it's difficult to get them registered. It's difficult to get legal recognition in the country. So what do we do with them? And so the third and most important affiliate structure was created, which was the user groups. And this would be a simple and flexible affiliate group that would become an alternative to the first 2. So what were these affiliates supposed to do? What was going to be the value proposition they provide to the movement? Well, actually, there were three things that were explicitly put forward by the Movement Roles Committee. The first one was that these affiliates, after recognition, need to work with local language communities to identify and support priority content. So content creation is the very first thing that an affiliate who gets registered needs to demonstrate that they will be able to do. As you heard from Derek, that formation of the user group in Rwanda was based on a simple need to say, I don't want to write about the Ugandan women, I want to write about the Rwandan women. So content contribution and identifying and prioritizing is the very first and most important value proposition an affiliate offers. But then secondly, and probably equally important to the first one, is to provide a space offline for engagement of members through local events. So, we all edit Wikipedia online and use a Tuva online, but in real name I'm Jimmy Sani. So you had a fight with user Tuva and he's blocking you, he's not letting you get access and so on. It's very different when you meet Jimmy Sani in person, because then we can actually have discussions about, what's happening there? How can we get the content? How can we work better together? So that's the second value proposition that affiliates offer. And then the last, and probably the most difficult as well, is to build professional capacities. So this comes from the fact that Wikimedia Foundation understands we're not going to be everywhere. As a foundation based in San Francisco, we're not going to be in every country, understand the nuance